For 3 years straight, my girlfriend accidentally forgot my daughter's birthday. No card, no call, nothing. This year, my daughter baked her own cake and brought it anyway. My girlfriend opened the door, looked at her, and said, "Sorry, this isn't a good time," then closed it without another word. I took my daughter's hand, walked to the car, and mailed one letter. By morning, 53 missed calls. My name is Daryl, and I'm an airline pilot. People hear that and imagine control, a calm voice in turbulence, a man who makes hard decisions quickly and lives by procedure. What they don't imagine is how easy it is to keep order in the sky while letting chaos grow quietly at home. For 3 years straight, my girlfriend forgot my daughter's birthday. Not forgot in the normal way. Not a late gift. Not an embarrassed call the next morning. I mean nothing. No card, no call, no text, no cupcake. No tell her happy birthday for me. Just absence. The first year, I told myself it was a mistake. The second, I told myself she was busy. The third, my daughter stopped believing me. And on the fourth year, my daughter baked her own birthday cake, carried it to my girlfriend's front door with both hands, and smiled anyway. My girlfriend looked at her and said, "Sorry, this isn't a good time." Then she closed the door in her face. I took my daughter's hand, walked her to the car, and that night I mailed one letter. By morning, I had 53 missed calls. My daughter's name is Emmy. She was 12 when this happened. She had my dark hair, her mother's eyes, and a way of looking at adults that made lying feel disgusting. She noticed everything: tone, hesitation, fake smiles. She was the kind of kid who could sit quietly in a room and still understand more than most adults wanted her to. Her mother, Lana, died when Emmy was 6. One normal Tuesday morning, Lana left for work after kissing Emmy on the forehead and reminding me to buy milk. By noon, she was gone. A brain aneurysm. Sudden. Final. The kind of loss that splits your life in two so cleanly you can still feel the line years later. After that, it was just me and Emmy. I learned how to braid hair by watching tutorials in hotel rooms between flights. I learned how to pack lunches at 5 in the morning before report time. I learned how to read weather charts while helping with math homework over FaceTime. I learned how to smile when I was exhausted, because a child who has already buried one parent should never have to wonder whether the other one is slipping away too. Being a pilot sounds glamorous until you actually live the schedule. Early departures, delays, crew hotels, holidays missed because weather in another city decides your entire day. I made good money, but I paid for it in time. And time was the one thing I never felt I had enough of with Emmy. So when I met Vanessa, I wanted it to work more than I should have. She worked in luxury real estate. Perfect clothes, perfect posture, perfect ability to make every room tilt toward her. We met at a sponsor event tied to the airline, and she had that polished warmth some people wear like jewelry. She asked smart questions. She laughed at my dry jokes. She made me feel less like a tired widower managing grief and logistics, and more like a man someone might actually choose. On our third date, I told her I had a daughter. She smiled and said, "That's sweet." I should have noticed that word. Sweet. Not, "Tell me about her." Not, "How old is she?" Not, "That must be a big part of your life." Just sweet. Like Emmy wasn't a person. Like she was a detail. But lonely people are talented liars when they want something badly enough. We take indifference and rename it caution. We call distance maturity. We translate crumbs into effort. At first, Vanessa wasn't openly cruel. That would have been easier. Open cruelty leaves fingerprints. Vanessa preferred polish. She was always technically polite. She smiled at Emmy. She asked how school was. She said things like, "That's nice, honey," whenever Emmy showed her a drawing. But she never asked follow-up questions. Never remembered anything Emmy said. Never volunteered help. If Emmy entered the room, Vanessa's energy shifted by half a degree. Not enough for a stranger to notice, but enough for a child to feel. The first birthday she forgot. Emmy was turning 9. I'd arranged my schedule so I could be home all day. I decorated the kitchen before sunrise. Streamers, balloons, the strawberry cake Emmy loved, and the little silver sugar beads she always picked off first. Vanessa had been invited for weeks. She's coming, right? Emmy asked while setting out plates. She said she wouldn't miss it, I told her. At 6, Vanessa texted, running behind. Start without me. At 7:30, exhausted. Today got away from me. Tell Emmy happy birthday for me. That was it. I stared at the screen so long it dimmed in my hand. What did she say? Emmy asked. I forced a smile. Work ran late. Emmy nodded once. Okay. That quiet little okay should have hit me harder than it did. Kids don't say it like that unless they're already bracing. The second year, Vanessa forgot again. By then, she had a drawer at my place. Shoes by the door. Skincare products lined up by my sink. She was no longer just someone I was dating. She was part of the apartment's shape. 2 days before Emmy's birthday, I reminded her. Dinner at 6 on Saturday, I said over coffee. Emmy's excited. Vanessa barely looked up from her phone. Right? Of course. Saturday came. Emmy wore a blue cardigan because she thought it made her look older. Every time headlights passed the window, she looked up. At 8:30, I called Vanessa. She answered like I was interrupting something. Oh my God, she said. Was that today? I closed my eyes. It's still today. Well, I've had a crazy week, Daryl. She's 10. And I said I'm sorry. What do you want me to do right now? I looked into the dining room where Emmy was pretending not to listen. Nothing, I said. Good night. The next morning, Vanessa sent a stuffed bear through a delivery app with a note, Hope your day was special. Emmy stared at it, then at me. Did she send this because she forgot? She asked. She wanted to make up for it. That's not the same, Emmy said. No, it wasn't. But instead of agreeing, I said, she's trying. That was my favorite lie back then. By the third year, Emmy was 11 and wiser than I wanted her to be. This time, I didn't remind Vanessa at all. I wanted to see whether she would remember on her own if I stopped doing the emotional work for her. She didn't. No card, no text, no gift, nothing. 4 days later, Vanessa came over with takeout and kissed me in the kitchen like the week had been perfectly normal. You forgot her birthday, I said. She sighed before I even finished. Daryl, I can't keep being tested like this. I stared at her. Tested? Yes. Every holiday, every school thing, every emotional landmine. I'm always being set up to disappoint you. It's not a setup to remember a child's birthday. She's not my child. The room went quiet. Vanessa saw my expression change and softened her voice instantly. That's not what I mean. I just mean the expectations are intense. The expectation, I said, is one text. You're making me the villain. No, I told her. You're doing that yourself. We argued for an hour. Vanessa never raised her voice. She didn't need to. She had that composed, reasonable tone that made people like her sound mature, and people like me sound unstable. Later that night, Emmy came into the kitchen and found me sitting in the dark. Did you fight? She asked. A little. Because of me? No. Adult stuff. She leaned against the doorway and looked at me for a long moment. You don't have to keep pretending she likes me, she said. I looked up. What makes you say that? People who like you don't keep forgetting you. I should have ended it then. I didn't. That is the ugliest part of the story. I knew enough. I knew Vanessa tolerated Emmy, but didn't want her. I knew she resented every schedule change, every school event, every reminder that my life had roots deeper than romance. But I was lonely, and Vanessa made adulthood look smooth and elegant and easy. She made me feel like I could still have a future that wasn't built entirely around grief and logistics. So I bargained with the truth. Then came the 4th year. I had just returned from a brutal rotation. Vienna, Madrid, Munich, then home the morning of Emmy's birthday. When I walked into the apartment, I smelled vanilla before I saw anything. Emmy stood in the kitchen wearing one of my old t-shirts and a crooked apron. Flour on her cheek, chocolate on her fingers. On the counter sat a homemade cake. It leaned slightly to one side. The glaze had run too far down the edges. The sprinkles were uneven. And in shaky white icing, it said, Happy birthday to me. I set my flight bag down slowly. You made that? She gave a quick little smile. Yeah, I watched a video. Then she noticed my face and looked away. Why did you make your own birthday cake? I asked. She adjusted the plate. I just wanted to make sure there was one. That sentence hit harder than anything Vanessa ever said. Emmy, it's okay, Dad, she said too fast. I just thought if Vanessa forgot again, at least I'd still have cake. For 1 second, I couldn't speak. My daughter had built herself a backup plan for disappointment. She had made peace with being let down often enough that she prepared for it like weather. I pulled her into my arms. I'm sorry, I said into her hair. For what? For all of it, I thought. For seeing this too late. For asking you to be understanding when I should have protected you. But all I said was, for all of it. She patted my back awkwardly. We can still have a good day. We will, I said. Then my phone buzzed. Vanessa, what time are you two coming by? Not happy birthday. Not how's Emmy. Just logistics. I should have canceled. I know that now. But some stubborn, stupid part of me wanted certainty so undeniable I would never be able to lie to myself again. I thought maybe if Vanessa saw Emmy standing there with that cake, something decent would wake up in her. Let's stop by Vanessa's for a minute before dinner, I said. Emmy hesitated. Do we have to? No, we didn't. But I said, just quick. She looked at the cake. Can I bring it? Of course. That's the part that still makes me sick. She wanted to bring the cake. She wanted to arrive with hope in her hands. She got dressed carefully, put on the blue cardigan, tied a ribbon around the cake box, slipped 2 candles into her pocket. The drive there was quiet. I asked what she wanted for dinner. Lasagna. Done. Garlic bread too. Obviously. That got a little smile out of her. Vanessa lived in one of those expensive townhouses where every porch looks staged for a listing photo. I parked at the curb. Emmy picked up the cake. I grabbed the gift bag. We walked to the door together. I rang the bell. After a pause, the door opened halfway. Vanessa stood there in a silk blouse and earrings, makeup done, hair perfect. I could hear voices and glasses clinking behind her. You have people over? I asked. She ignored me and looked at Emmy. Emmy smiled bravely. Hi, I made a cake. Vanessa's mouth tightened. Sorry, she said. This isn't a good time. She said it to Emmy, not to me, to my daughter. I waited for the recovery, for the embarrassed laugh, the correction, the come in for 5 minutes. Anything. Nothing came. Vanessa, I said quietly. Daryl, not now, she snapped. Then she closed the door. Not a slam, just a neat, deliberate click. I looked at Emmy. She was staring at the door with that blank expression kids get when the hurt lands too fast for tears. I took the cake from her before her hands could start shaking. With me, I said. She nodded. I took her hand, walked her back to the car, buckled the cake into the back seat, and drove away. At the end of the block, Emmy asked, did I do something wrong? 3 years of excuses died right there. No, I said. She did. A minute later, she asked, very quietly, are you still with her? No, I said. She nodded once. Okay. I didn't take her straight to dinner. First, I drove to the bakery Lana used to love, the one with impossible cakes and tiny, perfect pastries in glass cases. I told Emmy she could pick whatever she wanted. She chose lemon tarts, eclairs, macarons, sparkling lemon sodas, and a ridiculous second birthday cake with sugar flowers. You already made one, I said. She gave the tiniest smile. Now I have backup. Then we went to dinner. Lasagna, garlic bread, extra dessert. I gave her the gifts I'd bought, headphones, a sketch set, a leather journal. By the end of the meal, she was laughing again. Not fully. Not the same as before, but enough. When we got home, she carried both cakes inside and said she was going to shower and pretend none of those people exist. That night, after she went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table and read Vanessa's texts. You're overreacting. I told you I had guests. Why would you show up like that? This wasn't personal. Not personal. I laughed when I read that. Then I wrote a letter. Vanessa, for 3 years, you forgot my daughter's birthday. Today you looked at a 12-year-old girl holding her own birthday cake and told her, this isn't a good time, before closing the door in her face. That was not forgetfulness. It was cruelty. We are done. Do not contact Emmy again. Do not send belated gifts or apologies. She does not need gestures from someone who repeatedly showed her exactly how little she mattered. I am enclosing copies of your messages about Emmy being clingy, an obstacle, and too central to my life. I am mailing those copies to your mother, your sister, and your business partner, all of whom have praised your kindness to me more than once. I am not interested in revenge. I am interested in accuracy. Daryl. Because yes, there were messages, so many neat little messages over the previous year. You always drop everything for her. She's old enough not to need this much attention. Sometimes it feels like your whole identity is being her father. If I'd known dating you meant dating your daughter's grief forever, I would have made different choices. I printed them all. Then I made 4 envelopes, one for Vanessa, one for her mother, one for her sister, one for her business partner. At almost 11 that night, I drove to the late mail drop and sent them. The next morning, my phone exploded. By 7:30, I had 53 missed calls. Vanessa, her mother, her sister, her business partner. Unknown numbers. The texts were even better. What have you done? You sent private messages to my boss. My mother is furious. You're insane. How dare you make me look like someone who hates children? I put the phone face down and made pancakes for Emmy. After school drop-off, I finally answered one call. Vanessa's business partner, Celia. Are the screenshots real? She asked. Yes. All of them. Yes. A pause. Then I said, Vanessa shut the door in my daughter's face on her birthday while she was holding a cake she baked herself. Celia was silent. Then she said softly, Oh, that one word told me everything. She understood. Vanessa came to my apartment that evening. I stepped into the hallway and shut the door behind me so Emmy wouldn't hear. You won't answer my calls, she said, but you'll ruin my life? Your life seems pretty easy to ruin if truth does it. I said, You sent private messages to people who matter to me. Yes. That's unhinged. No. Unhinged would have been what I wanted to do on your porch. What I actually did was document a pattern. She folded her arms. You're punishing me because I'm not some perfect replacement mother. You were never asked to replace anyone. You were asked to be decent. She laughed bitterly. Children take over everything. Every plan. Every holiday. Every conversation. I got tired of orbiting a girl who isn't even... She stopped when she saw my face. Finish that sentence, I said. She didn't. Instead, she snapped. One day she'll grow up and leave. And then what? You'll still be alone. I felt nothing when she said it. No pain, no panic, just clarity. Then I'll be alone with my self-respect, I said, which is already an improvement. I went back inside and shut the door. The weeks after that felt quieter. Emmy got lighter, little by little. She stopped asking whether plans were still happening. She stopped checking the door every time a car passed. She started singing in the kitchen again. One evening, while we were painting her room, she asked, Why did you stay with her so long? Because kids always ask the question that matters most. Because I was lonely, I said. Because I kept hoping she'd become kinder. Because sometimes adults confuse wanting something to work with proof that it does. Emmy nodded slowly. Did you know she didn't like me? Yes, I said, not clearly enough at first, but yes. She looked down at the paint on her thumb. Then why didn't you leave sooner? Because I failed you, I thought. Because I was wrong, I said, and because I let my hope matter more than your comfort. I'm sorry. She was quiet a long time. Then she nodded and said, Thanks for telling the truth. That mattered more than forgiveness would have. Now we have a tradition. Every year on her birthday, we bake a homemade cake first. Emmy calls it the backup cake. The frosting is uneven on purpose. The lettering is messy on purpose. It makes her laugh. And every birthday morning, I leave her a handwritten note at the kitchen table before she wakes up. No child should ever have to wonder whether she mattered enough to be remembered. That's the lesson I learned too late. I am not proud that it took a closed door for me to stop lying to myself. I am not proud that Emmy learned how to prepare for disappointment before I learned how to protect her from it. But I am proud of what happened next. I took my daughter's hand. I walked her to the car. And I chose her without hesitation. That letter wasn't revenge. It was the end of a lie.